Alright, so how the heck do you get started with Clip Studio Paint? When you first open this app, you're bombarded with a bunch of icons and colors and everything at the same time. And calm down, take a breath, and let's see how to do this. This is one of the questions that I get asked the most. And in this video, I'm going to show you everything you need to know to get started with Clip Studio Paint. It's what I wish I had when I first got started. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Bruna. I'm a digital artist with 17 years of experience, and I'm a hardcore Clip Studio fan. So my goal here is to get you to know how this app works and use it to your advantage so you can create awesome art. So let's go. When you first open Clip Studio Paint, this is what you see. I know it's a lot, but let's take one thing at a time. Now, what we really need to take a look at here is the menus. Here on the top, you can see the menus, which are file, edit, story, etc. And most people don't really look at this part because it seems irrelevant, but it's one of the most important parts in Clip Studio Paint. So here on file, you can see everything related to creating, saving, exporting files, and also your preferences, your shortcuts. Most of the things related to how the app works are in this menu. Then we have edit. Edit is about the file that you are working on. So you have undo, redo, cut, copy, fill, tonal corrections. You have most things related to editing, like transforming and changing the colors. And anything related to editing is in this menu. Then we have this story, which is for comics. You can see it's about pages and project settings and managing pages. There's an animation menu as well, with things like playback settings or timeline and everything related to animation. Then we have the layer menu. Here you can create new layers, you can delete them, duplicate them. There's a lot of things related to layer in this menu here. Then we have select. On select, like the name suggests, it's about selections in general, so you can expand the selection, you can blur the border. There are many changes you can make to a selection that most times we don't even know they exist if we don't take a look at this. So the reason why I'm showing all of these menus for you is because I want you to explore what is possible within the software. On view, it's everything related to how you view your work. So if there's a grid or not, a ruler bar, scroll bar, zooming in and out, it's all under view. Then we have filter, and all the filters are here. Everything about blur and distortion and effects. When you hover over them, you can see that each category has its effects. Like under distort, you can convert to panorama, fisheye lens, geometric distortion, many different effects here under filter. Then we have window. We're gonna use this one to select what is visible on our workspace, which palettes are visible or not. So what has the checking mark on the left side, like the command bar here on mine, means that the command bar is visible. What doesn't have anything, like subtool detail, is not visible. So you can check this on and off to have the workspace the way that you want it to be. It's very, very customizable. And then we have this help. Well, if you need help, it's here. I don't usually use it because it's more like instruction manual and I usually just Google it instead of opening this here, but it is useful. This whole area that we're seeing, it's called the Workspace, and it's, like the name suggests, a space of work. So it's where you can organize each menu and everything that you want to have shown or hidden in this area. Clip Studio is organized in palettes. How does this work? What are palettes? Each one of these menus here, like on the right side, navigator, layer property, layer, each one is a palette and they have different goals and functions within the software. Usually, the name is very self-explanatory, like layer palette is a palette where you can do stuff related to layers, and the tool property palette is related to the properties of the tools. So it's usually very intuitive. Now, we have all of these palettes here. What are we gonna do? Do we keep it like this? You can, if you prefer, but you might be used to another app. How can you change this? Each of these palettes can be dragged around like this. You drag to one place or to another, you can drag it up, down, you can drag it to the left side of the screen or the right side of the screen, and you can do this with all of these palettes. And you can also close them, so you can come in here and click on the X and close each one of these, okay? So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna organize this workspace how I like to have it. And it doesn't mean that it's how you have to have it. It's just after a few years of Clip Studio and working full-time with art, this is what I came to. Not this one, but the one I will create with you. And with time, you as well can experiment placing stuff in different places, and you will see what feels more natural to you. So first, I'm gonna close the navigator, subview, item bank, and information. I don't use this. Align distribute I like having next to layer. Layer comps, bye-bye. History, I don't like it. That sounds so dumb. Auto action, I don't have it open either. So this is quick access. No, I don't use you. We're gonna talk about this part later. And then for my workspace, I like having everything on the right side because I'm right-handed. And so I like having the tools next to where my hand already is. So I don't have to make big movements outside of my drawing just to find a tool. I have everything really close to one another. So let's take the stuff from the left side now that I will use and place on the right side. Subtool, I like having like this. A tool property like next to it, side by side. Brush size I don't use, I use shortcuts. We're gonna talk about that. The color wheel comes on top. These colors here, this here. And then color mixing, I don't use. Color history, I don't use either. Clip Studio has a bunch of color palettes, as you can see. I only use 2 or 3 of those. Mainly, like 95% of the time I use the color wheel, and then sometimes I use something else. Okay, so we have this, something's missing. Oh, layer property. So what do? I closed layer property, and now I want it back. You go to window, and then you find the palette that you want to place here. In my case, layer property will come here. And then this one, the toolbar, I like having on the right side as well. This one here, I don't even know what it is. Let's close. And the bottom one is for animation. I'm not an animator, so I'm gonna close it as well. Okay, with this, we have basically how I like to have stuff. There's something missing on the bottom right side here, and I can't remember what it is. Oh, it's auto actions, duh. Let's go with auto actions. I closed them, poor thing. Okay, come here, auto action. Now, this is how I like to have the workspace. On the top side here, you can see that you have a bunch of icons. Yours is not like mine, because this is including the icons that I have put there. This is the command bar, and you can place some icons like brushes you like, tools, functions, a lot of stuff. So the command bar is super useful. Now, we have the general idea of how the workspace works. Let's see how to create a new file. You can go to File, and then New, and then you can create a name for it with high resolution. Everything else is secondary right now. What I want you to know is I like working with 4,000 by 5,000 files because it's a good resolution. But if your device is a little bit less potent, like if you make a 4,000 pixels file and it's too heavy on your device, 2,000 is good enough. It's good for posting online. So I'm gonna create one here, 2,000 by 2,500. Resolution 300 is my favorite, but you can use in 72 as well. This works really well for posting online, and 300 is for printing. Okay, created a new file. What now? Now, I wanna talk to you about shortcuts because almost everything I do in Clip Studio, I use shortcuts, and Clip Studio lets you really customize it so it's exactly how you want it. So there are some shortcuts that come with the app, like if you press Ctrl N, creates a new file, Ctrl Shift N creates a new layer. There are a bunch of predetermined shortcuts that you can change if you prefer, and you can create your own. How do you do this? You go to File, and then here, shortcut settings. When you open here, you can choose the category, like let's say I want for tools. So I have B for brush and V for airbrush, that's mine. It's not Clip Studio's. To change it, you can click here and just type whatever you want. In my case, it's V for airbrush. And then you can change all of the shortcuts that you prefer. Shortcuts are super, super useful. I use them all the time. And for example, one of my favorite, when I'm working here and I'm painting and doing something, I press Q and the color wheel opens. And this is so handy because I don't have to move my hand to the right side of the screen to find the color wheel. I can just, wherever I am, just press Q, select another color and keep going like this. It's super convenient. So this is maybe the most precious tip that I can give you because it's super handy. So that's what we have for shortcuts. Now, let's talk about Clip Studio's tools and subtools. Because this can get a little confusing. What the heck is a subtool? Basically, the tools are like the category or the group, and the subtools are types of that tool. If I use an example, it's going to be easier to understand. Let's say we hit brush here, and if I select the brush, and you can see here on the subtool palette, I have a bunch of different groups with other people's brushes. This is mine, like my brush set, which I use like 99% of the time. Sometimes I want someone else's. For example, I can come in here and take a look and select something. So these are all subtools, and these are like subtools groups. If we go to a blending tool, then we have blending is the tool, and each one of these is a subtool. We have this type of blend. Let me show you with some examples. Okay, so blend, we have like this or like this. This one I downloaded some. You can download stuff. We're going to talk about it, about materials, but you can have different types of blenders and different types of basically anything in Clip Studio. So we have the brush and the tool and the subtool. For each one of these, we have a tool and a subtool. Okay, so now you know basically the terminology, because this is really important when you are watching a video about Clip Studio or when you are going through the manual. Doing what are tools and subtools is really useful. Now, what are the main tools that you really need to know? First one, zoom, basic. You choose zoom, you can go in and out by sliding to the right, sliding to the left. If you slide to the right, it zooms in. If you slide to the left, it zooms out. You can also use hand, this one here. You can see on the bottom right side, my shortcuts appear. Like what I'm typing right now is appearing. It might not be the default shortcut, so just take a look at the shortcut preferences menu before you try using them. But anyway, so H for hand is what I use, and then B for brush. Let's use a really cool brush here. Oh, this is nice. Okay, so with B I can switch from brush, let's say, to hand, and then brush again and hand again. So really convenient. Then we have the airbrush, which is a really soft brush with no hard edges at all, like a real life airbrush. We have the eraser, which, well, the name suggests there are different types of erasers as well. You can experiment with them. Then we have selections. There are a few different types of selections in Clip Studio. We have the rectangle, ellipse, lasso. Everybody hates the lasso, but honestly, I love it. When I say everybody, I mean everybody who's getting started with digital art, because I think most professionals love the lasso. It's just so good. We can make a whole video about it later. Let me know if you want to know it, because I love the selection. Anyway, so we can make all sorts of selection with the lasso tool. And then you have a polyline which connects like this, and you can make curves with it as well. Really crazy. So these are the basic selections that you need to know. All right, let's go now take a look at figure tool, because this is super, super useful. There are two figure tools that I use a lot. The first one is straight line. Create a straight line like this. Really convenient, really useful. And the second one is my darling, my favorite ever, the reason why I started using Clip Studio maybe, and it's the lasso fill. And it's, you make a selection, and when you drop it, ta-da, it's automatically filled. It's amazing. This is so good for coloring. Go like this, you can do whatever you want, and it's super convenient. This is the lasso fill in the figure tool. And then the last tool that I want to talk about with you is the ruler tool, because many people don't know it exists. It is one of the most powerful tools in Clip Studio Paint. There are many rulers, like everything in Clip Studio, but let's see the one that I like to use the most. The first one is a special ruler. You can create one for parallel line, for example. And then every line you draw is going to be parallel to the ruler you created. Even if you try doing something different, it's going to go parallel. And it's really convenient. That's my favorite special ruler. Let's see now the symmetrical ruler, which is also really good. When you choose a ruler, on the right side, it appears here on the layer, and you can right click it and delete ruler. And then I can place another ruler here. Symmetrical one, super awesome. Ooh, this is super great. Really convenient when you're drawing someone like straight looking ahead. You can just draw one eye and the other one is there already. Super awesome. I almost forgot to say, if you're liking this video, then be sure to give it a thumbs up so YouTube can show it to more people. And if you want to improve your digital art, then subscribe to the channel, because I'm always talking everything about Clip Studio and how to make better digital art. Now, back to the video. All right, so now we saw the basics of tools, and you already have a lot to experiment here. But let's talk a little bit exactly about the experimentation now. About, okay, Bruna, I have the brushes. What do I do now? Okay, so when we have a brush, Let's say we have this cell brush here. Oh, let's delete the ruler. Okay, I have a brush here, basic brush. How do you change anything on it? You can go to Tool Property. You can, just a reminder, you can go to Window and then choose Tool Property. And there are many settings you can change here. So you can change the brush size manually. I like using shortcuts. It's this and this. Reduce, increase. You can change the blading mode. So let's say we have a normal one here. If I make a multiply one, it's gonna go like this, making it darker. You can experiment with these. There are a bunch of here that you can experiment and play with. Lots of fun. Then you can change the hardness, so make it more like an airbrush or less like an airbrush. Brush density is like opacity. It's similar. It's not really the same, but it's similar enough that I'm just gonna say it's like opacity. And then we can talk about stabilization, which is how the software will stabilize your. So let's say I have a really slow line here. Okay, the curves are not really ideal. If I go really slow, you can see that it's breaking into small sections. When I increase stabilization, it goes really well when it's slow and really smooth. But stabilization is not really good when you have to do something quickly. See? It just doesn't work. So use it with a grain of salt. Usually I keep it around 5 or 10, something like that. Pretty good for drawing. And these properties you can use with any brush. They will basically have all the same properties. When you click on the range icon here on the bottom of the tool property palette, it will open the subtool detail. And here is where you can see everything that exists for brushes, and it's done. Let's leave it for another video. I just want you to know this exists. If you already have experience with digital art and there is some setting that you can't find in the tool property, it's probably here in the subtool detail. Okay? When you are using something else, like let's say I have the rectangle selection, this one, then I can again go to tool property and change stuff like selection mode, create a new selection, to add, to remove. So if I have create new selection, each new drag of the brush, of the stylus, will create a new selection. But I can place add and it will add or remove. It's really convenient. Another way, if you have the regular one, just press shift and it's gonna add, press alt and it's gonna remove. And then you can really, with each tool that you use, you can play with this here and see what shows up for you. So for the blending tool, it will be different. For liquify, it's something else. Each one will have its specific properties you can change. By the way, if you're liking this content, you absolutely love my new book, Mastering Clip Studio Paint, which is all about Clip Studio for illustrators. So we talk everything about Workspace and brush settings and how to create your own brushes, how to use vector layers, how to use 3D models. Basically, all you need to know to be a good illustrator with Clip Studio is here. So click the link in the description to grab your copy and start mastering Clip Studio Paint. Now, back to the video. All right, so far we covered a lot of stuff here. We have seen Workspace, how to create a new file, shortcuts, tools and subtools, the main tools, and how to use a tool property. Now, let's take a look at the layer palette, because this one really deserves a little bit more attention. The layer palette is here. Mine is on the bottom right side, and it's where you can see each layer that you stack on top of one another, or you can delete. Okay, I'm gonna open a file with the layers on so you can see how powerful they are. All right, so here we have a painting with all of its layers, which are quite a lot. And I want to show you a few things here. The first thing is each one of these is a layer, right? When you click, you select it. You can drag it up and down or just keep it. What is on top will be on top of everything else. So if I take this layer here with the character and place it on top of everything, you can see that all the details that I painted disappear. So let's go back. Now, here on the right side, we have a few informations about the layers. We have the name. So if I double click here, I can change, for example, details to details that are awesome. And press enter, you have a new name. I really suggest you name your layers, because when you have a bunch of layers like this, if you don't name them, it becomes really hard to work. I have one that doesn't have a proper name, which is this. And it's because when I merge a new layer and merge a folder and it messes with the name. But I leave it like this because I know which one it is. And everything else, almost all of them, I have proper names for them. Then above the name, like this one, here's the name. Above it, we see the transparency. So I can make it 100%, 0%, here on the top right side. And we have the type of layer, which is considering the blending mode. So if I create a new layer here, a normal layer looks like this. Let's say I make it add glow. Now it's completely different. If I make it vivid light, it's something else. And multiply is a whole other thing. So each one of these blending modes will change how the color behaves. And you can see the type of the blending mode here on the right side of it. Now, on the layer palette, we talked about, okay, the blending modes and the opacity. The other thing I want to talk about is these icons here. Some of them are essential. First one is this. It's lock transparent pixels. And let's go back to this layer here so I can show you. If I come in here, I can just paint wherever I want, right? But if I press lock pixels, it will only paint on top of what's already there. This is super useful. For me, I use a shortcut, which is Shift-T, to toggle it on and off, because it's really convenient and much easier than clicking this small icon. So we have the lock pixels. We have the clipped layer below, also super, super awesome. Let's use this one here. So if I clip it to the layer below, it's going to be clipping to this lady here. So let's do it. I press Alt-G to clip it. And wait, let's remove the other ones so we can see. When it's not clipped, it's going outside of her borders. When it's clipped, it's going inside of her borders. So that's what the clipped layer do. And we can create folders. Just select all of the layers that you want and select this one here. Maybe is it gonna work? No, it didn't. You press, but for me, I press Control-Shift-G. No, Control-G. Yes, and it places them all in a layer. It's because it's for here. Create folder and insert layer. That's Control-G. I don't think I created this shortcut. It just exists there, probably. So you can create an empty folder by clicking here, or Control-G, create a folder and insert layers inside. Okay, that's the basic of layers. Everything you want about layers, it's not everything, but almost everything is here in this palette. You also have the layer property palette, but this is more for special effects and it's a little bit more advanced. We don't want to look at it now. It's fine. So now that we've seen about brushes and rulers and palettes and the layer palette, let's take a look at one of the most important parts of Clip Studio Paint, and that is the material palette and the materials within Clip Studio Paint. What are the materials, you might ask? And let's organize this here. I want it back to my usual workspace. Okay. Materials are, well, like the name suggests, it's when you save a material for later use. So it can be an image, like this open book here. I can just drag and drop it in the file. It can be a brush tip, like these ones here that I created for my brushes. It can be all sorts of stuff, like 3D models. Really, Clip Studio's materials are insane. Let's find a cool pose here. So, okay, we have a 3D character here we can use. Really awesome. You can see that there are a bunch of materials in Clip Studio. It already comes with a bunch of them. And if you go to the Clip Studio Asset Store here, click on this top icon, search for materials on Asset Store. It's gonna open. Oh, it's opening within Clip Studio, which is here, which is fine, but I prefer opening on my browser. So let's open on my Firefox browser. Let's go to assets. No, yes, .clips/ I don't know the name in English. Studio.com. And then you have the assets here. And this is super handy. You can find all sorts of assets. A lot of them are free. So you can search for something. Let's say I want a tree. And let's say I want a brush. Let's make it here. I click on the right side and select brush. So it's going to be a tree brush. And let's choose popular. Okay. Look at all the brushes you can download. Most of them are free and they are awesome. So that Clip Studio material and the asset store that you can explore and spend hours upon hours looking at everything that exists there. Now, what I recommend for you is to open your Clip Studio and experiment with different palette placement. Experiment with the different icons in the layer palette or the different tool property icons and settings, and just looking and seeing for yourself how it works. By now, you're probably wondering, well, that's all fine and dandy, Bruna, but I have no idea how to apply this in an actual painting. You're in luck. That's exactly what I explained to you in this video here. I take you on a painting process from start to finish using Clip Studio Paint and using these functions that we saw here. So go watch this video next and I'll see you there. Bye!